diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
and that all of their lives matter. We appreciate that. And next, what else do we have? Goldman Sachs commits more than $10 billion in investment and philanthropic capital to 1 Million Black Women Initiative. The Goldman Sachs Group, Inc. announced a new investment initiative yesterday of more than $10 billion to advance racial equity and economic opportunity. And that's by investing in Black women. The initiative 1 Million Black Women is named for and guided by the goal of impacting the lives of at least 1 million Black women by 2030. It is being shaped by Black women within Goldman Sachs, alumni of the 10,000 small business programs, and partnership with Black women-led organizations such as National Council of Negro Women, Power Rising, Black Women's Roundtable, and the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. Walker's Legacy Foundation, Sisters in Business Expo, and the Links Inc. This initiative is transformational, said Melanie Campbell. She's the governor of the Black Women's Roundtable and president and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. Also a partner with Goldman Sachs on this program. So what Goldman Sachs is doing has the potential to materially impact the lives of Black women, their families, and communities across the country. The investment will be grounded in the voices and experiences of Black women. Goldman Sachs and its partners will commit $10 billion in direct investment capital and $100 million in philanthropic capital over the next decade to address the dual disproportionate gender and racial biases that Black women have faced for generations, but which have only been exacerbated by the pandemic. That is some good news for you. And we're going to continue on. San Francisco Mayor London Breed redirects $3.7 million from law enforcement to Black businesses. And that's as part of Dreamkeeper initiative. San Francisco Mayor London N. Breed announced yesterday that the awarding of $3.75 million to serve San Francisco's Black and African American small business community. This investment by the Office of Economic and Workforce Development, that's the OEWD, and the San Francisco Human Rights Commission is part of the Dreamkeeper initiative, which is reinvesting $120 million from law enforcement into San Francisco's African American community. In June 2020, following the killing of George Floyd, Mayor Breed and Supervisor Shaman Walton announced a plan to prioritize the redirection of resources from law enforcement to support the African American community. Following that plan, HRC led an extensive and collaborative process with the community to identify and prioritize funding needs and developed a report to guide the reinvestment. The community engagement process includes more than 60 community meetings, listening sessions, coalitions, conventions, and surveys with over 700 respondents. As part of the budget process, Mayor Breed redirected $120 million from law enforcement for investments in the African American communities for fiscal years of 2020, 2021, and 21 to 22. This funding is aimed at mitigating the economic hardships facing San Francisco's African American community and will support rebuilding of the community's economic power in San Francisco. What else do we have coming on next? Let's go into politics. Politics, Donald Trump endorses Vito Fossella in borough president primary race. Former President Donald Trump published an endorsement. He endorsed the Saturday on former Congressman Vito Fossella in the Republican primary for Staten Island borough president. Trump said it was a great honor to endorse Fossella, stating that the candidate is strong, tough, loves our country, and truly loves the great people of Staten Island, which is a powerful voice against crime and all the things going wrong in the city that we love. The release went on to say that Fossella would not let the residents of Staten Island down. Fossella has been largely outside of the public eye in the past decade, but told the Advance Live that he is ready to return to the elected office. Seeing the community that I love and the city that I love, most importantly Staten Island, just crumble around us, encouraged by many people, including my wife and my children, to do something about it. That's really why I decided to run for borough president, he stated, to be a real voice for the people of Staten Island. Fossella said he is most concerned about rising crime and a direction that the city is taking. The city is just going backwards fast, and Staten Island is once again becoming a forgotten borough. Something that we tried to undo 25 years ago, he said. To date, Fossella remains the borough's longest serving congressional representative of the past 40 years, with 5 different people holding office since his departure. In 2008, Fossella served out his term but chose not to run for re-election after a DWI arrest led to him admitting to having a daughter with a former U.S. Air officer in Virginia while he had a wife and 2 sons on Staten Island. Some questions though. What have he been raised about Fossella's financial disclosures in the borough president's race? While a number of candidates have raised and spent more than $100,000, Fossella has so far run his campaign without spending more than just $113, 0 loans, and only $1,500 in donated services. Still, in addition, President Trump, Fossella has local support, including that of the former president borough, James Marlorano. And he's qualified. He spent many years in the government, and he doesn't need on-the-job training, Marlorano said. It's more than just my endorsement of him. It's my concern for myself and my family going forward. But what we're about to do is go into a break, and when we come back, I have a special guest for you. His name is Wade Williams. He has been a mentor, teacher, and a great man to many of us in the borough of the Bronx. We'll be right back with Millennium TV 24.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
MTV 24, I am Kim Seabrook. We're going to take a good look in this segment next with, Wade Williams. Wade Williams, a former teacher of ours over at Bronx Regional High School. Bronx Regional High School is an alternative high school. If you don't know what that means, it's where all the quote-unquote bad kids go, right? We're not bad, but that's, that's what they made it. That's what they wanted it to be. I knew I was going to get emotional over this. But when you go to the school, it's a whole different situation. We're not treated like the bad kids. We were treated as kids that needed help, that needed guidance, and needed love. And Wade Williams is brought on here because I wanted to express how much we appreciate his love, his guidance, his support. But we also wanted to talk about how important it is to have people like Wade in our community for our young Black and brown students and kids throughout the inner city. Wade.
Hey, Kim, how are you?
How are you?
I'm fine. Good,
good. No, thank you. So many of us just wanted to tell you thank you for being such a major influence on our lives. We couldn't have gotten through high school without you. We couldn't have got through our adulthood without you because you taught us so much. How important is it to be there for kids who don't have, certain role models?
Well, I have to start with my foundation. I come from strong family ties. Mom and dad were A1 in raising me. And I go from that to a solid extended family also, cousins, uncles, aunts. So I leave home, which is New York City. I'm born and raised New Yorker, raised in the projects, 13 years, Tompkins Projects. We move out to Queens. I go from Queens to an HBCU, Morgan State University. So when I get there, I discover the family atmosphere is also there. I learned so much in the streets of New York City, in my home, at that HBCU, that when it was time to come back home, God bless my godmother, she suggested that I go take the teacher's exam.
Wow.
Long story short, I end up at Bronx Regional High School.
Yeah.
Bronx Regional High School, let me describe Bronx Regional High School.
Please.
Anybody that doesn't know about it. It's an alternative school, yes. It was supposed to serve kids who were, like you said, quote unquote, the bad kids in the city. But let me tell you about this building. It wasn't just Bronx Regional High School. The building was set up for us to succeed. We had in that building, Bronx Regional High School, which was an alternative school for about, say, 300 some odd kids.
Right.
Satellite Academy, which was an alternative school, also served the same type of population. School for Literacy, very important piece. A school that was set up for children that were behind in their literacy. Martha Nielsen School for Pregnant Teenagers.
Wow, yes.
2 daycare centers with fully staffed with social work and babies taken care of while the mothers could go to school. So now you get a picture of this building. Now let's get into Bronx Regional High School itself.
Yes.
Our setup was different from any other setup that I can think of in New York City. First of all, our kids were allowed to call us by our first name.
Yes.
Which lent itself to be a more relaxing atmosphere. Second of all, we had a class, a very important class. Every student went to family group. Kim, tell them what family group is.
Oh, family group is exactly what it is. It's family. It gives you a moment to build. It gives you a moment to release. And it's just like, also like conflict resolution class. That was another class. You just are able to be yourself and to be able to connect. And it's not, they don't hold anything against you. There's no judgment. There's no room for judgment. It's just it's complete, pure love, open arms, and understanding, which is what a lot of us didn't get. We did not get no understanding or an ear, like nobody wanted to listen, but not until we went into Bronx Regional, they listened. But get ahead, Wade. Yes.
Well, I would say the most important piece about Bronx Regional that I held onto very tightly was a safe environment. Once you guys got in the building, you knew that it was safe. We had one rule.
Go to class.
Even after that rule, that was a given.
Right.
The no fight rule. If you had a fight at Bronx Regional, you were automatically transferred.
Sure.
Now, many don't know the reason behind that rule, but I used to get on people and let them know. We had 2 daycare centers in the building, which means a mother could be walking down our hall, pregnant, or holding an infant, or walking an infant, or an infant could be in a carriage, and the hardest of the hard individual in that school understood.
Yes.
Because I yelled it from corner to corner.
Yes, you did.
If there are babies walking in this school, that means you cannot fight. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. Sam, Smitty,
Oh gosh,
Charlie. I'm
Sam,
gonna run out
Smitty,
some names.
Charlie,
Jolinda,
Jolinda.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes, 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 yes.
Monster. These are peripheral people. Kurt. We had an overabundance of love.
No, we did.
That's the
We
word.
did. Rest in peace to Sam and Smitty.
Did
I
Kurt?
went to Smitty's funeral and I did a piece for him, you know, as for the funeral. But I expressed to his family, like, I don't understand how you guys were taken care of because he took care of all of us. How did he? How'd you guys manage to still take care of your families and still manage to take care of us? Just speaks so much volume, especially me as an adult, 44 years old. I was 16, you know, when I went to the school. Actually 15. I went there for 3 years. Yeah, it's just amazing and it's appreciative and we love it. And so many of us, listen, I love the neighborhood that I grew up in and I'm close to many, but the family that I still have from Bronx Regional High School there's nothing that compares to it. I can't even go down the names, but I mean Naomi, Brandon, Ron Riley. It's just so many that I can't. It's just hard. But we are still like this to this very day, and the support is there to this very day, and that is only because of the teachers and the staff that was there at Bronx Regional to teach us that. Because if we were in another school, we probably still wouldn't even be, you know, as close as we are to this day.
That's interesting because I think that Bronx Regional was a blueprint. It really was. Because we were an alternative school, you know, people didn't pay that close attention to us, so we were able to do things a little different.
Right,
Which
right.
we did.
Right.
And I appreciate you guys staying together and staying in contact because I can see it on Facebook actually. I can see you guys corresponding. It warms my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Harris, another one. We at the end of the day, we just made sure that you guys had proper education. I think that there's no other way to do it, and without feeling safe, without being able to express yourselves in the classroom as well as outside of the classroom, I think one of the primary things that we did was give you guys a voice. Conflict resolution. You mentioned conflict resolution. That was Smitty's baby.
Yes.
Anytime you guys got into a conflict meeting in Mr. Williams' office, you sit on this side, you sit on this side. You don't talk to him, you talk to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we talk it out like adults.
Right.
And it served us well.
Yes, yes, it definitely did. I remember the first day I went to the Bronx Regional after getting kicked out of Julie Richmond, and I had sat in conflict resolution. I was like, what is this? This is awesome though, but this is exactly what I needed. I just needed to be able to express myself again. And the main thing is without no judgment, without somebody saying talk, but then telling you to be quiet right afterwards. That was something that unfortunately I grew up with, you know, and so to be able to talk and not to be told to be quiet was the best thing in the world. Like I think Mr. Poe, was that a social studies teacher? Mr. Poe. And I'm going to say this, a Caucasian teacher. I went into his classroom. He's teaching us about Christopher Columbus. And I'm telling him, no, I don't want to hear about that because that's not the truth. The truth is, I'm not going to get onto it in here, but he came in the next day with some facts about the reality on what happened with Christopher Columbus and who he really was. And that meant a lot to me because that means you're actually listening to me. You don't get that in the hood. Nobody wants to listen to us because they think that, you know, we just, loud and rowdy and obnoxious, or we just don't know what we're talking about because we're teenagers, but we know what we're talking about. So to be able to get that appreciation just means a great deal. Wade, we wanted to give you your roses today before you do go. I have some quick sentences from some quick shout outs for you. So Naomi Calderon Gonzalez, she says, I know he was always there for his students, even if it was not in his family group or basketball team. He always managed to give us advice on how to look at things in a different angle and telling us there's always a reaction for your actions. Yes, you were definitely big on that. He was a great big brother figure for a lot of the students, and that really needed it. Next was Brandon Morales. Coach was a true inspiration to the young men and women under his tutelage. I was fortunate enough to be one of those young men, and I'm eternally grateful. God bless you always, Coach. Next was Natasha Baker. She said, thank you for believing and pushing me and my family, that she's forever grateful. Christy says that she loves you. She thanks you for being a caring adult, a man who didn't just do his job because it was a job, but actually caring for his students and having his door open and chair ready for us to come sit and vent. Lloyd Bethea, he says, thank you for showing us it was more than basketball. Debit and credit that. And last but not least, one of my sisters who was on the basketball team, Tranya Kelly. She says, you changed my heart. You changed me into the person I am today. I just want to tell you that I'm blessed. I'm thankful for you and everything you did for me. And if you know SHG for life, she had to say that in. So Bronx Regional, yes, I had Wade Williams here, got me all teary-eyed as I expected it, because it's just so much love.
I appreciate all the love, and some of the students that you just mentioned. I can think back of all of the times that we had. Natasha Baker, I'll mention Natasha. Her whole family came through Bronx Regional.
Right.
I call them the Cypress Avenue crew. And one by one, they made it. It warms my heart. All the basketball players, that goes without saying, but I definitely prided myself in being an influence to the young ladies in the building.
Yes.
I wanted them to see that there was a positive male figure in the building who was consistent.
Yes.
In telling them the right thing.
Absolutely.
And who to look for and how to look for them.
It means a lot to us, Wade. You have no idea. One more person, sorry, James Gunn, Abdullah Gunn. I want to thank you, Wade, for believing in me when I didn't. I was always in trouble, and you helped my bad behind. I want to thank you for not giving up on me, Coach. Much love and respect for you, James Gunn. So, yes, that's Dula. But, yeah, any words that you want to give to other mentors, teachers out there who, especially now during this time, is so much different from when I was growing up?
Well, it's different, but it's not.
Right.
I still, ironically, my retirement date is September 1st of this year. And I still coach basketball. I coach a 9th grade team here in town. So it's different, but it's not different. Teenagers are teenagers. And if I had any advice for anyone, I would just say, listen to them. They have something to say, and give them their voice, because the time that they have with you don't even realize the influence that you have on them. So show up to work every day, be consistent, and do your job, and everything else will take care of itself. Just have a good heart with your children.
All right, you heard it here on Millennium TV 24. Again, this is Wade Williams.
Love you,
he's the man. I love you too. I love you too. You ever think I'll be sitting here doing the news?
I did. I expected this and more.
I've seen a lot of things, but I never expected this one. But I love this platform because we're able
Millennium
to just be
TV,
ourselves and
bridging
express
communities
everything.
worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
And Welcome back to Millennium TV 24. Before I go into my next segment, I just want to thank all the men out there in our communities, whether you are a biological father, stepfather, uncle, mentor, or someone who just works with kids, or just anybody who is out there helping our community. You are appreciated this day and every day. So next, we're going to continue with politics. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez releases a video endorsing Maya Wiley for New York City mayor. Alexandria Cortez released a video on Wednesday detailing her endorsement of Democratic New York City mayoral candidate Maya Wiley. With less than a week to go before the city's Democratic primary, early voting is already underway, and the crowded field is further complicated by the city's debut of ranked choice voting. The second-term Congresswoman wields one of the most powerful endorsements for Democrats seeking to consolidate the progressive vote in a contentious mayoral election. But Wiley, a civil rights attorney and former cable news analyst, is facing off against several other more moderate candidates, including Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, who's also former presidential candidate Andrew Yang, and former Sanitation Commissioner Catherine Garcia. Whichever Democrat wins, the primary will likely prevail in the general election this fall. We have an option of a candidate who can center people, racial justice, economic justice, and climate justice that didn't just come up to run for mayor, but has experience and has a lifetime of dedication to this, Cortez stated. In this video, which pulled from her endorsement speech earlier this month, she also stated that she is going to definitely keep her on the team and she is going to win the race. Next, de Blasio promises Juneteenth scholarships for Black and low-income students. In honor of the holiday, de Blasio announced a new education and finance initiative from the Task Force on Racial Inclusion and Equity called the New York City Juneteenth Economic Justice Plan. It aims at bridging the gap between the racial and wealth gap in the city by investing in universal baby bonds and providing over 2,800 four-year city university scholarships for Black and low-income students. Universal baby bonds are essentially a savings plan for public school kindergarten students that will start next year. The initiative will both open accounts and put a minimum of $100 into everyone's kid's account. And in 2016, de Blasio launched a Baby Bonds 529 college savings pilot in Queens School District. And that's in partnership with the nonprofit New York City Kids Rise. Children in this district now have over $6 million to go toward their college and career training. The program will be expanded to all school districts with an investment of $15 million annually through 2025, said the mayor's office. Juneteenth is a time to recommit ourselves to equality and the work of creating a more New York City for all, especially our students, says School Chancellor Maisha Porter. Investing in the educational journey of our youngest learners is an apt way to mark this Juneteenth, and I'm grateful to all who have come together to make this possible. The CUNY Scholarship Fund will serve 1,000 students at Medgar Evers College and 1,800 low-income students in neighborhoods hit hardest by COVID, NYCHA housing developments, and other low-income zip codes, said the mayor's office. And next we have Yang Garcia form an alliance. They form an alliance in late innings of the New York mayor's race. After weeks of trading punches on the campaign trail, two of the leading candidates in New York City Democratic primary, Catherine Garcia and Andrew Yang, appear to have formed an alliance. The pair will be campaigning together Saturday at a slew of events, according to identical schedules released Friday evening. The collaboration, which will include Yang being whisked from Queens to Manhattan in the Garcia campaign van, is the first overt strategy to emerge under the new ranked choice voting system, where voters are able to pick up to 5 candidates for mayor in order of preference. The system was touted as a way to tamp down negative campaigning and build coalitions, but that committee has so far been exclusive in a city known for bare-knuckle politics. Neither of the campaigns will say Friday if they are officially cross-endorsing each other, but a rumor had been percolating this week. But sharing is the stage is clearly a signal to supporters to rank each candidate high on the ballots, and an indication that the two campaigns are either eager to deny frontrunner Eric Adams as many second-place votes as possible. Generally, more is more when candidates are piecing together votes from many different places, said political consultant Eric Phillips, who is not affiliated with any campaign. My sense is that Yang struggles after the first round, and Garcia knows she needs to squeeze as many second-place votes from others as she can get. Indeed, Yang has been polling behind Garcia in the recent weeks, but depending on which neighborhoods they hit, the pairing could theoretically deliver support for one half of the team without taking away from the other. Their press schedules indicate a stop in Flushing, for example, where Yang is decidedly more popular than Garcia and is more likely in competition with Adams. But like all ranked choice strategies in New York City, the gambit and its ultimate payoff remain untested. That's going to be interesting to see. Next, Yang's tag team campaigning with Garcia Saturday will be a first for New York City voters who are used to the more combative style being practiced by the candidates thus far. It's also a sign that Adams remains the candidate to beat as a unique coalition forms against him. And in other news, what do we have? Arizona. Arizona police shoot suspect who allegedly drove into group of elderly cyclists. At least 9 people were hospitalized Saturday in Show Low, Arizona, after a driver struck a group of cyclists. Of the injured during the Bluff State Championship road race, 7 were transported to Summit Healthcare, and that's including one who was airlifted from the scene. According to a statement from the Show Low Police Department, of the 6, 4 are in critical condition and 2 are critical but stable. Another 2 to 3 walk-in victims are in stable condition. Our community is shocked at this incident, and our hearts and prayers are with the injured and their family. That was by the police department. And Christine Slider, in the statement, she states that the suspect, identified only as a 35-year-old Caucasian male, allegedly drove into the group with a black Ford F-150 at approximately 7:25 a.m. before fleeing the scene. Police attempted to apprehend the driver before engaging him behind an Ace Hardware store, where an officer shot him. The suspect is in critical but stable condition. Next, that's still with the Show Low Police Department. The Navajo County Sheriff's Office and the Arizona Department of Public Safety, who has been requested to conduct the shooting investigation. And now on to the next story. Minnesota is flush with cash, but is it hoarding? Minnesota lawmakers and Governor Tim Walz are sputtering toward approving a state budget that will set a record for spending, but also a record for how much cash will go unspent. Walz, along with top Republicans in the Senate and top Democrats in the House, have a general agreement for a 2-year state budget that will total about $52 billion. That's the first time the state will burst the $50 billion ceiling, and it compares to the current 2-year budget of $47.8 billion. That feat is accomplished with no new taxes and some tax cuts. In addition, the plan calls for the state's rainy day fund to swell to $2.4 billion, also a record. It leaves the federal relief funds unspent through 2020-25. And on top of that, in May, state tax receipts brought in an additional $1.8 billion above what had been forecast in the planning document lawmakers were using to craft the current budget framework. So to be clear, some of the tax cuts and key aspects of new spending are likely to target those hurt most by the pandemic, although many details were unknown as lawmakers Friday were still hashing out some details in secret for many aspects of the budget as a June 30 deadline approached. But for years, whenever Minnesota's finances appear strong, Republicans have generally sought reductions in taxes or fees, while Democrats have generally sought to expand government programs, a fundamental difference in how the two parties approach governing. The economy is in unprecedented waters as it emerges from an unprecedented pandemic that carry with its unprecedented government restrictions on commerce. It's also important to understand that while Minnesota might be flush at the moment, Large piles of money are essentially one-time windfalls and not guaranteed into the future. Next, after supermarket shooting in Colorado is letting cities pass their own gun laws, and Boulder plans to enforce its assault weapons ban. Months after 10 people were killed in a mass shooting at a Boulder, Colorado supermarket, the state's government took swift action. Legislators have passed 6 gun laws since the shooting in March, with Governor Jared Polis signing 3 of them into law Saturday. The recently adopted laws expand background checks for gun purchases and creates an Office of Gun Violence Prevention. The third gives local jurisdictions control over gun rights by repealing an existing ban that prevented cities from passing their own gun laws, and has renewed interest in Boulder for an assault weapons ban. Almost all states have similar laws known as preemption laws that prevent local gun laws, according to the National Rifle Association. Despite the former ban, Boulder had enacted its own local ban on assault weapons and large capacity magazines in 2018, though it had not yet been enforced. On March 12th, a judge ruled the ban violated Colorado state law, citing the preemption law, and struck it down. Just 10 days later, gunmen killed 10 people at a supermarket in the city using an AR-556 and an AR-15 style semi-automatic pistol that had purchased days prior. The gun would have been covered by the ban, but because it's included guns that can use external magazines, and he purchased the gun in another city, though Boulder's ban would have made it illegal for him to carry it in the city. Boulder is again looking at the ban now that the new state bill allows for cities to set their own gun laws. Mayor Sam Weaver told the Wall Street Journal that he believes the new bill will negate the legal challenges to the assault weapons ban, effectively putting it into effect. He also stated that the city will do what it takes to make the ban enforceable. He has signed 2 additional gun bills into law earlier this year following the supermarket shooting, including regulations for gun storage and requirements for reporting stolen or missing firearms. Another bill that passed and awaits the governor's signature seeks to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. And next, this is going to be next and the last story. Beyond, in the Heights, colorism persists. I heard a lot of people talking about this. I didn't get a chance to view it, but let's hear what the audience thinks. Every year, Hollywood inevitably comes under criticism for its lack of racial diversity. But another lesser known yet still pervasive problem also resurfaces: the lack of diversity in skin tone. So it happened again with In the Heights, a big budget film based on the music created by Lin-Manuel Miranda, which was called out this week for its dearth of dark-skinned Black Latinos in leading roles. Colorism, or discrimination against darker-skinned people within their same ethnic group, lurks deep among pretty much all communities with varying levels of melanin. But it doesn't get talked about, and that could be a setback for the racial justice efforts that intensified after the police killing of George Floyd last year. Avoiding the conversion will hinder the battle for racial justice. Between the two are fully and inextricably linked, said Ellis P. Monk Jr., a sociology professor at Harvard University who has been researching colorism for years. Monk says that the issue is prevalent in all communities of color and has been taboo in part because it's uncomfortable to talk about internal strife while also fighting against broader discrimination based on race and ethnicity. But in a way, colorism and skin tone stratification is an even more difficult problem to fix, because you could make the argument that everyone is involved in the system of colorism. If we think about race and racial inequality without taking these skin tone differences seriously, then we're actually missing how the system of racial inequality works. Right. There's little data that tracks discrimination based on skin tone, and therefore it is hard to quantify just how pervasive colorism is. But the studies that do exist show that people with darker skin have higher incarceration rates, lower access to health care and education, and live in poorer neighborhoods, several experts say. That's pretty much the end of the news, but that is real. But anyway, we're going to end this news today. It is again Sunday. There's a Juneteenth festival over in Yonkers if you want to go attend that. And this is Kim Seabrook. You're watching Millennium TV 24. Happy Father's Day to those who celebrate, and happy Sunday, everyone. Just have a blessed one. See you next time.